I'm Dr. Shannon Whiteside, Alvieri's Program Director, and I'm here today with Alvieri Science Curriculum Writer, Danielle Merritt-Sinceri. Danielle, you have a unique combination of experience with your former career as a lab scientist and as an experienced Charlotte Mason home educator. I've heard you say that the scientific processes Mason writes about are very much like those used by scientists today. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Mason's writing on science education resonated with me from the moment I stumbled upon it, and I knew immediately that this was the philosophy I'd been looking for precisely because I could see that she got it. She advocated that students have plenty of time for exploration and direct contact with the things of the universe. She saw the critical importance that moments of curiosity have for both scientific learning and simply for the development of the human person. And the scientific process cannot happen without cultivating that wonder and curiosity, because that's what stimulates us to ask questions and to be open to whatever is revealed. So even though the science of her day had a different scope than ours today, the foundation is very much the same. It's about the posture, the process, and the practice. Curricula that focus too much on content and performance, mental gymnastics, miss the opportunity to build such a strong foundation. Curricula that hold back and treat science with reservation and anxiety miss the opportunity to build such a strong foundation. Mason got it right. The person needs to explore, to wonder, to engage in the process of thinking that we call science.
Nature study was an important part of Mason's program. Why is nature study still important for children and adults today?
There are a host of studies that confirm that humans just do better when we spend more time in nature. I'm sure that many who are watching or listening have heard of this phenomenon called nature deficit disorder. Science education reformers have noticed the impact of this too, observing that curricula that are detached from nature tend to result in a sense of fear and futility. If we want to raise future citizens who know and are secure with their place in the natural world and who want to steward that world well, then authentic, immersive nature study must be a valued part of our science curricula and just fundamentally part of our culture. So Mason's inclusion of nature study is important at the fundamental level, just to start with. But there was something else that stood out to me when I began learning about Mason's science program. As I began to reflect on all of the incredibly talented and wise scientists and science teachers and advisors that I had been blessed by over the years, it occurred to me for the first time that every last one of them made time in nature a priority. Regardless of their discipline, whether they were biologists or inorganic chemists, whether they were from my childhood or from graduate school, that was what all of those that I learned the most from and still look up to, that was what they all had in common. And so I think if we want our young budding scientists to come into the modern disciplines with a posture of awe, respect, responsibility, humility, then it only makes sense to build upon a foundation of nature study. And the lab sciences really are an extension of nature study. So many of our most important discoveries in science came from someone noticing something small in nature that struck them.
Can you tell us a few ways that you weave in those ideas we've discussed when writing Alvieri's science lesson plans?
I think you see this first in our book selection. We try to select books that expand the student's scope and awareness, that hit that sweet spot between giving enough information to stir curiosity while leaving plenty to go and explore and wonder for themselves, and that build the student's sense of connection to their world. The problems associated with detached science education are not exclusive to nature study. There was a tendency in the 20th century to separate not just nature, but all of science from the human story. And so science education reformers have been working for decades to correct that. We take our prompts for how to do that from Mason's work. Just like in Mason's programs, this plays out a little differently in the different components. There are components such as nature lore that are meant to inspire and build culture. So we've been working on making that more clear and building more support in that regard. The natural history and general science components have a more academic purpose, and each of them serve their own purpose, but they also have a reinforcing effect when we're thinking about these ideas of the scientific process and cultivating a healthy posture. They both require that we wonder, learn to observe, ask questions, communicate what we know. They both require that we grasp our place in the world, However, natural history tends more toward observational interactions that occur bit by bit over time, whereas general science tends more toward controlled interactions that occur in a fairly disciplined manner. So to help with that, for example, we have general science activities laid out for grades 1 through 3 and lab books for grades 4 through 8 that provide all of this support. We provide comprehensive supply lists and easy to purchase kits from Home Science Tools, and lots of support for planning and scheduling in both the natural history and general science lesson plans. Our high schoolers, for example, have their own office hours for science. So we hope that they will feel supported and encouraged to ask lots of questions and pursue knowledge. So these are just some of the ways that we build in structure to make those ideas more accessible and easier to implement.
Thank you, Danielle, for those thoughtful and reassuring answers. If you'd like to see a sample of Alvieri science lessons and lab books, be sure to visit our website. You can also hear more from Danielle and me in our book preview videos on Alvieri's YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.